Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be here with you guys tonight on this Thursday. We do have a lot of coverage to get into, such as Jasmy, XRP, Stellar. It's going to be a good show. I thank you guys for being patient in regards to this time that I'm going through. And if anything, I'm glad to be here with you guys once again. So let's start things off by welcoming a few of you guys. It's not going to be a really long show, hour and a half, 2 hours tops. I know it sounds long, but that's not too long in regards to how we do things here. Let's start things off with the first comment. It's from Jasmy Boobies and Stuff, aka my MI Media. Interesting name you have there, but that's cool. Always been in the spoon in the Matrix. Good to see you. Welcome back. We also have Gerald who's in the house. Good to see you, Gerald. Um, Always like seeing your, monkey avatar. Pretty cool. Hopefully you're having a good day. And let's also welcome the one and only XXI Gaming. Good to see you, brother. XXI Gaming. All right, gonna welcome a couple more of you guys. Obviously Boomer F and Sooners in the house. Glad to see you, Mr. Boomer F and Sooner. We also got Brittany, who is in the house. Good to see you, Brittany. She got the thumbs up, looking lovely as always. And we have River. He says, "Hey, party people." You sound like you're a red man. "Hey, party people, dreams have now been fulfilled. Let's, something get ill." I don't know. I forgot how that went. Who's that? De La Soul featuring Redman. Yeah, that's who that is. All right. Yeah, everybody's welcoming each other. Glad to be here with you guys. River, hey Max, we love you, man. Thank you. It's very trying time, but I'm gonna do my best to get through it. It's got some more bad news in regards to my dad today, but they give him like a few days to a couple weeks. So one of those things. But glad to be here with you guys. All right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into this thing I wanted to share with you guys a few days ago. It was from Chad Steingraber, and it is in regards to USDC and also Tether. So I want to thank Mike Cornwell for originally, I think, reporting this, maybe Icy and Vivian, combination of you guys and so on. We said we're going to talk about it. Let's definitely talk about it. Why is that so significant? So I'm going to pull this up for you guys. And if anything, let's check how we're doing on the likes real quick. We have 10 likes. We have roughly 13 people here. I mean, in reality, people don't know, what's going on. They're like, hey, is this guy doing shows? It's what comes with the territory. So maybe more people filter on in here, but nonetheless, we're going to get into it. So let's see. Let's pull up some of the branding. And basically speaking, here it is. All right. So I want to talk about this. Here is the main article. And like you see on your screen, talks about SBI VC trade confirms USDC is go for Japan. Now, for some of you guys, this might be old news. For some of you guys, you weren't even aware about it. For a lot of you guys, you're like, well, why does this even matter? And we're going to talk about all these key things here in a bit. So you see this posted here. I think that's pretty much big enough for the most part. A lot of this, of course, is different language. But getting into this, here's the translation, basically speaking. And let me pull this up on the other screen, actually. Yeah, make it just a tad bit bigger, especially if you're Boomer F and Sooner sitting on his couch watching from the couch. I know, I always do that, don't I? All right, so here it is. And yes, you do see it plain as day. And I think it's definitely worth pointing out. All right. So the announcement, well, for one, here it is. It is regarding the conclusion, if you will, of a basic agreement for a comprehensive business alliance between just that, SBI Holdings and Circle, a U.S. company that we know that issues, of course, USDC. Now, Circle was in the past referred to as, Stellar USDC, but the bottom line is still the same thing. Now, in regards to this, it says in this initiative, SBI VC Trade plans to handle USDC after registering as an electronic payment means transaction business. That's a mouthful, is it not? Subject to regulatory approval and aims to distribute USDC domestically. This is something that we've all been paying attention to for the longest time. When is Japan going to unban, USDC Circle and also Tether USDT? Because if anything, that's going to increase a tremendous amount of volume flowing into Japan, but especially for a beloved asset as in Jasmy. Getting more into this, you see the article posted here. SBI Holdings times Circle. All right, so it's definitely significant, and I wanted, of course, to bring that to you guys and so on. Getting more into this, I want to show just a tad bit more, and Mr. Steingraber has a little bit more that I think we should pay attention to. So here's the next part of this, and let's pull this up for a second. Go ahead and refresh this real quick. Yes, here we go. SBI Holdings partners with Circle to pioneer digital currency innovation in Japan, of course, with Circle, banking, and Web3 services. Now, we understand, wow, Web3 services. There's a lot that's part of the whole thing of Web3, but, think of, especially when it comes to Jasmine, what kind of opportunity that's going to create for them. Now, if you wonder how long ago this was of course, reported on November 27th, so not that long ago. I wish I could have brought, to you guys the next day, but, had some interruptions and so on. But yeah, look at this for a second. Here's some highlights. So, global technology firm, issuer, USDC, world's largest regulated stablecoin, true. To circulate USDC stablecoins, establish a banking relationship and promote the use of Circle's Web3 services in Japan. Now, currently speaking, you might not have seen a tremendous amount of volume come in yet. I'm telling you, word will get to where it needs to be, and if anything, word of mouth spreads like fire, like wildfire. And basically speaking, you will over time start to see more volume. This is a big win for not just Circle, but especially for us being Jasmy holders. A little bit more about this. I do want to talk about this. As a global leader in the digital asset economy, the Japanese government revised the Payment Services Act, which is called the Revised Payment Services Act, on, of course, June 3rd, 2023. Now, we did point that out a few months ago. Some people feel it's like, it's a nothing burger. Yeah, keep in mind, there's time that needs to develop to get to where we're at right now. The regulation is expected to stimulate the issuance and circulation of stablecoins in Japan and advance Japan's transition towards a Web3 economy. Look at Jasmy's position in regards to a Web3 economy, Web3 cloud storage, all sorts of big things happening, but especially when it comes to this new concept of smart cities, Society 5.0, the whole shebang. The Revised Payment Services Act, listen to this, establishes collateralized stablecoins that are backed by, of course, legal tender. Circle's USDC goes as a step further because they are backed 100% by highly liquid cash and cash equivalent assets and are always redeemable, of course, to a 1-1 or US dollars. USDC reserves are held separately from Circle's operating funds at leading financial institutions for the benefit of USDC holders. And as of the 17th of November, not that long ago, there has been over 12.7 trillion of on-chain USDC transactions. That is all worth pointing out to. Now, a little bit more in regards to Japan. Check out the bottom. The companies have signed an MOU underpinning the work ahead, which includes SBI Group that we talked about many, many different occasions over the course of a year, and Circle, initially working towards the circulation of USDC and expanding the use, of course, stablecoins in Japan. This is going to be a massive win, not just for, again, Circle, but a bigger win for Jasmy because it creates so much more volume compared to what we had before. The unbanning of one particular stablecoin, as in Circle, is a big move in the right direction. Sure, we want to also get Tether on board, but look, at this a little bit more. This bottom part, to circulate USDC stablecoins with Japan, SBI, VC Trade, and so on are going to be involved in this. But look what it also says. They are committed as an SBI group and Circle to properly complying with stablecoin related regulations. So when we talk about pairings and the whole situation behind that and why it's so significant, well, You already have Jasmy, where it's at as we speak, that have already met those complying regulations. Now you also have, I guess you could say, Circle with Stellar and so on, also right there as well. That's big. Now I'm gonna jump back to a little bit more that we have in regards to this because it doesn't just end right here. You got to keep in mind that, like for instance, there's things that we should definitely point out more. So in my own notes, okay, you got to bear with me on this because I've been with you guys in a few days, so I might be a little rusty. The unbanning of, for instance, Circle, right? Of course, even Tether for that matter. Um, bottom line, like, what would be so important? What is the significance in regards to Jasmine? Well, we got into a little bit about the whole thing about volume, but there's so much more to it than just volume. For one, for Jasmine, it means that you're going to see increased liquidity, trading volume, of course. The unbanning of USDC, for instance, will likely lead to increased liquidity and trading volume, of course, for our beloved asset, which is Jasmy, and of course, on Japanese exchanges. This is because, for instance, these particular coins, as in USDC and even Tether, are some of the most popular foreign stable coins, even in Japan, even though there was a ban. And of course, they're available to make everything easier for Japanese traders to buy and sell Jasmy. Of course, that's a win in the win column. On top of this, you have to keep in mind there's going to be improved visibility and accessibility, and that's what we want. Jasmy, of course, will be more visible and accessible to Japanese investors with the unbanning of course, Circle, and especially if we get the whole thing of Tether on the way as well. This is because Japanese investors are, of course, familiar with Circle, and they are more likely to invest in Jasmy if they can use these stablecoins. Duh, no kidding. Another thing I want to point out in regards to the whole thing with Jasmy. Enhanced reputation and credibility. The unbanning of these particular stablecoins will also enhance Jasmy's reputation and just that, credibility. Because let's face it, a lot of that has been into question. But this is because Japanese regulators have taken cautious approaches to just that, cryptocurrencies, and their decision to unban Circle suggests that they believe Jasmy is a legitimate project with a strong future. You know, going through all the hoops of proper regulation and meeting that criteria and understanding standards and all these things that we follow is a big deal for many reasons that we've outlined. Now, what about the whole thing for Japan? We can talk your ear off about the whole thing of Jasmy all we want. It is very, very beneficial, of course, to Japan. So for one, you're going to have faster and cheaper international remittances. The unbanning, of course, the Circle will make it faster and cheaper for Japanese residents to send and receive money internationally. Again, a massive win in the win column. This is because stablecoins can be used to make cross-border payments without the need of traditional intermediaries like, for instance, banks. Right, no kidding. What about this whole thing about adoption? Great question. The unbanning, of course, of Circle is likely to lead to the increased adoption of course, crypto in itself, not just Jasmy in Japan. But where Jasmy stands as being the first regulatory compliant cryptocurrency in Japan, that's why it gets the term Bitcoin is Japan, is massive because, for instance, Circle is convenient and allows an accessible way to buy and sell crypto, and it makes it so that availability will make it easier for the Japanese people to get involved in just that, the cryptocurrency market. So these are enablers of mass adoption. Another thing I want to get into before you wrap this up, another key thing. Will this boost the economy of Japan? The answer is absolutely yes. The increased adoption of cryptocurrencies could also boost the Japanese economy because cryptocurrencies can be used, of course, for payments, goods, services, et cetera, et cetera. They could also be used to attract new businesses and those businesses that want to invest into Japan. If you saw that 2015 video that the late great Shinzo Abe was talking about, let's incentivize American companies to invest into Japan, and we're going to come up with some grants and so on. All of this vision is now being realized. Last but not least, the overall unbanning of these particular stablecoins, Circle, right, is in fact a positive development for Jasmy and, of course, for Japan. It is likely to see, like we mentioned, increased liquidity, trading volume, visibility, accessibility, reputation, because, let's face it, honor system, these guys' legacy and reputation is on the line, and credibility, adoption, and, of course, just that economic growth that will lead to, for instance, Society 5.0. And that is a big, big deal. So, with that said, we're going to pause on this segment. We're going to kick it back to the comments. We do have some more Jasmy we're going to get into. And the next particular one that we're going to jump into is from Jasmy AI in regards to the carbon pulse. What is that all about? Stay tuned. We'll get more into that here in a bit. All right. We're going to get into the comments. Thank you guys for being here. Decent crowd, even though there's been no shows for the last few days. But yeah, we're going to get into it. So I'm going to see who was the last comment. And let me see where we're at. All right. I think it's it was either from River, right? Anyway. But yeah, let's jump into that. And I think I know which one it is. All right. I do see the comment. Let me double check the screen, make sure I didn't miss anything. We had 26 likes, 36 people watching, so a pretty decent crowd. Thank you for being here. All right. Looking pretty good. All right, so let's welcome SPL. It says XLM and HBAR. It's a nice avatar you got there. You're a Padres fan. I don't know if that's your girlfriend or wife, but welcome. Glad to have you here. All right. And anybody who is part of our community, please give SPL a warm welcome. We always welcome newcomers. All right. Let's see here. Trying to catch up on the comments. All right. Let's see. We also have Gabby. Welcome back, Gabby. She says, Jasmy to the moon. I didn't realize, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're from the Philippines. And if that's the case, salamat. Thank you for being here. All right. Boom. To Gabby. We have the one only Tim Shea, who sprays from far away, having everybody hit the DECK. He's representing the 589th, the Mayor Crypto, the Crypto Commissioner, Mr. Tim Shea. Good to see you, man. All right. Are you bull or bear? I am bull. I am so bull. Yeah, you're full of bull crap, right? No, I'm kidding. Some people think I'm full of bull crap, and that's okay too. We do welcome other opinions. A lot of people keep it respectful, right? Don't attack the person, attack the argument, right? But NB, glad to have you here. Everybody welcome NB. We also got Julian Cato. I did see a lot of you guys as well wishes on Twitter. I've been meaning to respond to you and so on. But thank you, Julian. It says, hey, Max, prayers. Hope you and your family are doing well. Appreciate you putting on a show during these tough times. Yeah, I was like, I was basically this close once again to saying, nope, not going to do it again. But, it's like, I don't want to do damage to the channel with the algorithm and all that stuff. So I kind of, I have to keep up on it. And, it's one of those things. But, the way I look at it is my father will be entering into the kingdom of God. I firmly believe that. And, the way I look at it is there's not a lot that this world can offer compared to heaven. And, he's really been missing my mom a lot. I have too. And, I count my blessings. My dad, he's 89. He turned 89 last September. But, his quality of life has not been that great. And, some of the latest reports was having to drink water that is thickened because, if he drinks regular water, he's going to cough and choke. I mean, what kind of life is that? So they've taken him off the medication, and the only medication he's on right now is for pain management. And it's just, going to the hospice and, trying to make sure that he's comfortable and so on. That's what I want. I want him to be as comfortable as he can. And, I had a conversation about it with him regards to if he's looking forward to heaven and so on. But I will be with him for sure these last few days or couple weeks or whatever it is. And my prayer is that he'll be able to. hmm, if it's in God's will that there's a miracle, then there will be. But if it isn't, and he's supposed to enter in the kingdom of heaven and be with his family, our family, that's what's going to happen. You know, that's the way to look at it. But thank you, Julian, for being here. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you. All right. James Francis, I like you, man. With you on XRP. Wish you could uncover strong fundamentals with Jasmy so I could jump on board. All my homework shows a Jasmy is just a meme. No blockchain on board. Engineered like Davis MD. So there is a blockchain that's on board. And basically, I get where you're coming from as far as a meme. One thing I like about Jasmine in the community here is it's got utility, but it isn't a meme. The community has that meme feel, which is a good thing in my opinion. But they are going to a layer two blockchain solution. It's called Optimism. It is that particular roll up that they chose to go with, and I think that's a step in the right direction. It's like going to be an AI style blockchain with that particular consortium. And then also, I like the idea that Jasmy is entering into the whole concept of like storage, cloud storage with this Web3 cloud solution with what they're doing with like Polkadot, for instance. I think it's a step in the right direction because now we're getting multiple layers of utility and use case. Whenever you can mention something like Jasmy alongside the likes of like Flux, Filecoin, some of these other ones, I think that's really cool. I think that's awesome. These prices that we see, Jasmy at, absolute bargain. There'll be come a point in time where people will be like, I remember when you could buy Jasmy below a penny. You can buy Jasmy below a penny. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to sell anybody on any of this stuff. I'm trying to provide information. I would always advise anybody to do more of their own research. While I'm flattered that some people say, hey, I got into quant because of you or Jasmy because of you. In reality, you should get into any of these projects because of you, not because of me. I have stole that from Matthew Perry. I watched a little bit what he was saying earlier today. Not that I watch him all the time, but he made a good point. At the end of the day, yeah, it feels good if things go to the moon. I think it will at some particular point. We'll have some of that generational wealth and whatnot. But it's not just because I'm saying it like because it sounds cool and hey, this is what I'm covering. Done enough research, probably more than most. That's not me bragging. That's just me telling it like it is. I'm fully aware that I cover this almost on a regular basis. I'm, invested into it. I'm not like, $10,000 invested into it, but I own a little over $1 million. That was hard-earned money. I don't want to see my hard-earned money be wasted any more than the next guy. So, I always encourage that. But I would look more into it. If you're convinced that it just shows us a meme, hey, that's where we can agree to disagree. And if anything, we do welcome the other side of the argument and so on. I do feel as though it's going to be a very underrated project, and I do think they're going to reach some of the goals that they need to get to. Jasmy is part of a collective group of people and other organizations that all share one common goal, and that is a future smart society that they refer to as Society 5.0. I look at Jasmy as being kind of like the concept of working on a Hollywood production, like Star Wars or something like that. There's like Industrial Light and Magic, and there's all sorts of different companies that contribute towards the common goal of a motion picture. I look at Society 5.0 in that same light. Jasmy's part of that collective group of, conglomerates trying to reach that goal. But how much of a role do they play in that? I think they play a major role, but they don't do a good job. And this is where it's critical. I understand this. They don't do a good job when it comes to marketing. But as Steve Jobs has pointed out, the Japanese have never done a good job when it comes to that. They let the products speak for themselves. I have to see what happens with this, but for me, it's a long-term hold. I will be taking profits in the future and so on. Jasmine is not something that I will marry, and I would encourage other people to do what's best for themselves and their family. Don't ever let a content creator say, "Hey, don't buy or don't sell your Jasmine or any other particular asset." Do you ever wonder why they say some things like that? Because basically, at some point, in the future, these content creators are not going to have an audience they're going to watch anymore. They may have an audience, but they want to keep the full audience. All I'm saying is this, you know, at some particular point in the future, I realize all those things are going to happen. But you know what? I too am invested in this and I understand how this whole game in life goes as well. And I'm prepared because I have an actual plan, spreadsheets, the what ifs, the what nots, or what couldn't happen, and so on. I think with Jasmy, we should see bigger things in 2024. But again, the way I look at it is a long term hold. I have more goals for Jasmy. My goal is 3 million, and basically speaking, um, yeah, take profits along the way. And I would like to see where Jasmy goes by the year 2030 and so on. And as a result, I may need to hold, that ultimate moon bag and so on. But yeah, by all means, whether it's Jasmy, all you guys, take profits when you can and have a plan. Don't wing it. I'm sure you're not winging it, but I'm just throwing that out there. But James, thank you so much. We have a guy who always connects here. His name is John Francis. I don't know if you're related to him, but if you are, that's cool. All right, guys, let's go further down to the comments. Boomer F and Sooner says Boomer is on the couch watching the wife and daughter put up about $42,000 worth of Christmas decorations. My God. All right, you going Richard Hart with the Christmas decorations, huh? Interesting. All right, speaking of Francis's, there's John Francis. So, I mean, I'm kind of wondering, are you guys related? But good to see you, Mr. John Francis. And we'll get back into the lineup here in a second. Let's also welcome Crypto Homes 777. Good to see you, Crypto Homes. Boom. And we also got the one only Corey Bibe, aka Jasmy Not a Scam. He says, "Good evening, everyone," because clearly he talks like this. I mean, let's face it, it's getting so bad at his household that his own spouse or whoever it is, kids, I don't know, I don't know your situation. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you look like. It don't matter. But maybe it's getting so bad that, his normal voice, which is just the Corey voice, has now transformed into everywhere he walks, or in this house, hey, honey, can you make us some breakfast? Scam, you'll make us breakfast. It's just like, what's going on with that? Hey, honey, you want pizza tonight? I do not want pizza. It brings great dishonor. Must have hibachi grill. I mean, you just don't know. There's been an old saying around here: people walking around their house, brushing their teeth, just out loud, just be scam. Just joking around, but it's not a scam. It's just an inside joke. If you guys see on the recorded videos, somebody say just me scam, it's just an inside joke, and especially if it comes from like X Marks the Spot or somebody like that, it's just a little inside joke. It's not a scam. But if you think it's a scam, then you got to do what you got to do. But I'll state this: I'm not wasting the money I put into Jasmy if it was a scam. All right, getting more into this, we have a few more questions and comments. Let's welcome Jay Cryptic, excuse me. He says, hello all, FXI and FANX. Well, welcome. All right, Remy is in the house. Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Remy. Please welcome Remy, everybody. And we have Johnny Gucci 9. Welcome back. He says, hello, everyone. God's blessings to all. You too, man. At the end of the day, just try to be kinder to people, even if they don't share the same point of view that you have and so on, right? Anyway, at least that's what I'm doing. Stump Rider. Hi, Max and Crypto Team. Good to see you, Stump Rider. All right, just a couple more comments. And here's a question. Crypto Homes 777. What does everyone think of the Rencom network token and its relationship with Jasmy? That has been on my list for the longest time now to get more into. So be on the lookout for that in the future for real. I've been talking about that with Will Fix because, he's into the tokenization of real estate and so on. And I think it's definitely worth looking into. That, of course, was a rumor that was from a while back, but I think that could actually be a thing. And, we'll have to see what goes on with that because, as we know, Jasmy entered into the whole thing of finance democracy. All right, the road, excuse me. Let's travel. Welcome. He says hello to all. A lot of newcomers. I appreciate you guys. Nice looking couple here. Thank you for being here. All right. How about we just do like one more? All right. Connor DZ, great info. Appreciate your updates and news. Yeah, you're very welcome. And thank you, Connor DZ. If that's you or that's a picture of your child, thank you for being here. All right. Let's double check the other screen. We're currently at 38 likes. I do appreciate you guys being here. I saw that Selmo Footy is in the house. Welcome, brother Selmo. Good to see you, man. Really do appreciate you being here. And we also have Daniel B who's in the house. We'll get to some of your comments a little bit later. Um, Richard Rich is in the house. So a lot of familiar faces. And I think also Henry Brown is in the house. So I think you dropped a super chat. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Let me see what it looks like. All right. Yes, Henry Brown. Thank you so much. Support from the community and sending Max positive energy. Plus, shout out to Boomer and Sooner, Tim Shea, aka Yom Dog. Wow, what a name. Mike Cornwell, Big Ups, and Corey Bebe. He's flexing, and he says 2024, another shutdown coming. Gotta watch, or we're gonna have to watch this. Thanks so much, brother Henry. I've been meaning to obviously get with you. A lot of people, it's just a lot of times, people want updates, see how it's going, and next thing you know, you're on the phone like all day. Not to make it sound like a bad thing, but I want to say I really appreciate you, and it means a lot, Henry, for your ongoing support. Thank you. All right, we're gonna now jump into a little bit more of this whole thing of Jasmy. So I want to, get into this. This is in regards to Carbon Pulse. This is something that was actually posted, I think, about 18 hours ago. So we are still talking about Jasmy, and we, of course, have a little bit more in that regard. So let me go ahead and pull this up. This comes from Jasmy AI, and basically, let's get into the nitty gritty about it. So here it is. And look what it says. Also featured in Carbon Pulse. That's cool. Why is it so cool? Well, let's break it down. So for one, I don't know about you, but when especially it comes to Jasmy, if Jasmy is being mentioned word of mouth or by, literally verbatim, featured where they mention actually Jasmy instead of old Max connecting the dots for you, I'm always paying attention to that. You guys are as well. So what is this? Well, let's blow it up a little bit more. So we have this thing here, and I think I actually have this on the other page, so I think it's already blown up. It talks about this whole thing of Carbon Pulse. It says, eliminate emissions. For instance, supply U.S. carbon offsets, generate returns. I don't know about you. When we talk about the whole thing of utility in motion, that sounds like a lot of utility being in motion, does it not? So for one, you do see this listed over here. And if you want the actual site, I can actually provide you that. Let me just go ahead and drop that in the comments for you. So let's give this a second to load up. Yes, here it is in the comments. I've gone ahead and dropped it down for you guys because you guys like to have a source. I understand how that goes. And, even at the collegiate level, we're supposed to do 2 sources and so on, but there is another source you could pull up if you look more into it. I would encourage that. But while you're looking at that, or while you're just sitting, on your couch like Boomer and Sooner with his dog, you can enjoy what we have in regards to the coverage. So follow along. Let's get into this. And basically, even though the screen is a little smudged because this guy took a, kind of a funky screenshot with this and so on, I want to jump into some of this. So for one, it's going to look a little blurry because I think the guy took it with his cell phone, but you're going to see some key things here. And I wanted to just regionally just take you to that link that you see. But like I had to, jump through a bunch of hoops to become registered. I think I've used this source a few times. So, they only allow like 3 or 4 times to show it. But for you, if this is the first time you ever clicked on that particular source, you should be able to read the whole thing. And if you're not, then just follow on the screen. And yes, it does look a little blurry, but it is from basically yesterday, and it is in regards to November 29th. And what you're going to see here is, like it says, cross-sector alliance that aims to revitalize Japan's carbon credit market is planning to launch a carbon exchange next spring, it announced Wednesday. Now, I want to point this out. We know that Jasmy is moving to a layer 2 blockchain, AI blockchain solution with optimism. We also know that when it comes to the 4th quarter lockup, this is in regards to Japan's 4th quarter, not our 4th quarter, because obviously, as of tomorrow, this is going to be the last month of our 4th quarter. Their 4th quarter extends all the way to March. So to me, from what I gathered, this is an alignment of everything, kind of getting your ducks in a row. So, does this basically mention Jasmy? Absolutely, it does mention Jasmy. We're going to get to that here in a second. It goes on to mention in this specific article that I'm bringing to you guys a cross sector alliance that aims to revitalize Jasmy's carbon credit market. I should say Jasmy, Japan's carbon credit market is basically planning to launch a carbon credit next spring, and it announced it last Wednesday. All right, so just a few days ago. Tokyo-based tech firm Jasmy. Oh my gosh, right? Because you guys don't want just connect all the dots and stuff. You want to start hearing it by name, and I'm telling you flat out, since last week, even though I haven't been with you guys since Saturday, okay, we have pointed out that you're now starting to see more and more different, for instance, tabloids and news publications mention Jasmy by name. That's awesome. We need to start seeing more of that, do we not? Especially when it comes to this whole concept of adoption. Shout out to Icy Amphibian. He's been giving me a lot of information. Shout out to Dip Metaverse. Dip was mentioning, he went over to Japan. He got to meet the one and only Son in person, right? Very cool, right? To be able to see some of our ambassadors, especially if they're from Europe or United States, meet the head honcho, or I should say head honcho, but obviously Hara. And one thing he mentioned was, in Japan, it's kind of like a popularity contest. One thing is like, for instance, you have what's his name, Mr. Watanabe, if I'm not mistaken, if I pronounced that right. Very, very popular figure in Japan when it comes to blockchain in regards to A-Star. And I've stated, you know what, I wouldn't mind owning some A-Star, right? Popular gaming token over there and so on because of that Sony connection. But you got to keep in mind, just because they have a Sony connection does not mean that, there's no use case for Jasmy in their Sony connection because it's different use cases. That's the bottom line. So while they may be the most popular in Japan, I'll never dismiss Jasmy because the way I look at it is, what is the more attractive risk to reward ratio, currently speaking, especially even though I'm in the profits with my Jasmy, it's still Jasmy. And don't get me wrong, this is not me, of course, bashing the A-Star community. If anything, I'll end up getting some A-Star. I believe in it. I think it's a solid particular token. But again, you do love the idea of getting credit where credit's due, and hence Jasmy. So again, let's get back on topic. Tokyo-based tech firm Jasmy, subsidiary of the Natural Capital Credit Consortium, NCCC, get used to seeing a lot more info about them, is of course preparing for the release of a digitally managed transaction system using blockchain tech. So for the newcomer that we heard earlier, I think it was James Francis, shout out to you. There you go. This is so much more than a meme token. Like you stated that, you feel it's that way. It's just simply find out more information. And don't feel bad. There's so many people that also look at Jasmy in that same light. Now, a little bit more about this. Talks about how this has started recruiting participants for tests prior to the official launch, according to, of course, that company statement. The new marketplace, because let's face it, we are talking about how Jasmy is going to be game changer because it's going to create this whole decentralized data marketplace. Again, think of like the centralized data marketplaces, your Google, your Amazon, your Facebook, and your Apples. Who's the kryptonite for that? It would be Jasmy. So this new marketplace, featuring the use of blockchain tech to prevent fraudulent transactions, will support the listing of various carbon credit, such as NCCC units and domestic government issued J credits. That is game changer, right? Anything connected to the government, whether you're for it or not, is game changer. It basically is the fast track towards mass adoption. We know that, But NCCC units will come from a credit certification standard that the consortium plans to launch, of course, in 2025. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't have the attitude that, oh, great. So we're not going to see Jasmy to the moon until 2025. Well, that could still be a thing. But if you see them basically mention that you're going to have a new AI blockchain solution coming out here in 2024, you're also having Japan's version of a fourth quarter lockup I guess no later than March, maybe possibly April if there's a delay. Bitcoin halving, right? All these things coming out, not to mention ETFs and so on. Well, you can draw the conclusion that this is just part of that utility, but it's not the only layer of utility that Jasmy provides, right? So we got to point that out. Getting more into this, data on credit acquisition and usage information will safely be stored using Jasmy's blockchain-based service, the statement said. And here's a quote before we kick it into the next part. In this quote, it says, in addition, tokenized carbon credits can be distributed and managed in various forms, as digital data, enabling the realization of unprecedented distribution methods and secondary and I can't read this part. Distribution such as resale. Interesting. Now, regards to Jasmy, this is the last particular quote I'll pull up. And it does come from carbon-pulse.com. So for some of you guys that are watching on the recorded, you're like, yeah, you didn't hook me up with the link. Go look at it for yourself. Mentioned once again by name, Jasmy is also working with project developer Green Carbon, which plans to create J credits in collaboration with rice field farmers. How many times have you heard me joke around with the Rice Crop Consortium, right? Sounds like a joke, but it's a real thing. So I think it's big. With current participants, look at this, guys, enough to earn around 14,000 credits from some 7,000 hectares of rice paddy. I mean, I remember my mom when she was alive, she was talking about the family farm down in Mindanao, southern Philippines and so on, and how many hectares they had. Here we have acres, they have hectares, a little bit different ratio. But I think that's a big deal, right? The path towards having some people, even from the agricultural side of things, using the utility of what? Green carbon credits, and having Jasmy as the utility-based layer to create some of these things. I think that's obviously a big deal. Now let's jump back for a second. I want to show you guys just a little bit more. So getting into this and so on, Hara, believe it or not, also posted this, just in case some people are like, well, did Hara post about it? Yeah, he absolutely did post about this. And there it is. I mean, I think it's a big deal. That's why he's pointing it out as well. I'm glad to see other people from our community, basically get into this. But I'm going to share this last part, which I believe is on the very bottom. So let me just pull that up for a second. Yeah, here it is. So basically speaking, 11/29/2023, again, just yesterday, NCCC aims to bring companies, municipalities, academic researchers together to revitalize Japan's carbon credit market through the utilization of its forest and other resources, it said. Remember the whole thing with Dreamforce? If you've been following this, if you're a newcomer to Jasmy, it's okay. Go to the recorded section, not when we're on the live, but check it out for yourself. You have, for instance, Yoshida, who used to be part of the Jasmy team. But technically speaking, he is, right? And yeah, he's got this whole thing with Dreamforce going on. You have all these things that he's creating in regards to these sensors and so on, predicting like a person's baseball swing or somebody, throwing a baseball pitch. But this whole thing is a whole other big deal. So for one, this last part, the consortium has been endorsed by dozens of Japanese companies, including telecommunication major SoftBank Corp, who is very, very highly invested into Jasmy. As we know, we covered this a few times. They aim to support the creation of carbon credits by utilizing its agricultural, and look at this for a second, IoT as an Internet of Things solution, Kakashi. It has agreed, in regards to that reference, back to that site I gave you, to work with Singapore-based exchange ACX to facilitate Japan's voluntary carbon market. So we talk about mass adoption. We have one country getting together with another particular one to create just more of that, the utility in motion, and allow more citizens from other countries and Singapore to be able to use the utility. It's a beautiful thing. All right. So I want to get into the last part of this before we kick it into, of course, the next pause that we'll have in regards to IC Amphibians research. So in my notes, right, because I always tell you guys, relax and take notes, right? Always referencing Biggie Smalls. you have to keep in mind, like, the bottom line. Like, why is this so important? What's the significance? I mean, you might not understand the whole concept of, the rice crop consortium and, carbon credits and so on. And you may not even like the idea. I mean, even I myself, my dream is in the future to have a few old school Impalas and some classic cars and so on. And I realize, probably by 2030, I'm going to have to pay carbon credits. By 2040, I think everybody will, right? But at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind Japanese Natural Capital Consortium, like we mentioned, to launch this carbon exchange next spring. Well, why is that so significant to, for instance, to Jasmy or to you, me, and so on? Great question. Bottom line is this: the launch of a carbon exchange by the NCCC, of course, is significant for Jasmy for three major reasons. Okay, let's get into those major reasons. Number one, increase in demand for Jasmy's, of course, blockchain tech. As the carbon credit market grows, and it will exponentially, there will be a need for a secure and efficient way to track and trade carbon credits. True. Jasmy's blockchain tech is well suited, of course, for this specific purpose. It is scalable. People saying Jasmy's not scalable. The heck it's not. Secure and transparent. And if anything, it'll be even that much more scalable when we get onto this layer two. Hence why we're pointing that out. All the fudders that came after Jasmy saying, I don't like the idea of them going to this new thing. It's basically a V2. You don't like them, keeping or sticking to the promise of the white paper? Hey, I do. How about this? Will there be potential for new revenue streams? Yes, we know that, because we know that we want to be able to do more than we currently can do. So for one, Jasmy could generate revenue from the carbon exchange by providing its blockchain tech or by trading just that, carbon credits itself. How cool is that? All right, that third point I want to get into. Enhanced brand reputation. Now, you have seen examples in which Jasmy has branched out into other things and so on, trying to get a little bit more brand awareness. Hence why you have the whole thing with Avita. You understand the whole thing with Vio of the past and so on, especially with Sony. But being associated with the NCCC, of course, is big. But you got to keep in mind, being associated with them and, of course, a carbon exchange is going to help enhance Jasmy's brand recognition. And at a time that they need more of that brand recognition, not enough marketing and so on. That's always been something that's been criticized. But we stated with Japan, standout Japanese companies, even Sony back in the day, it's a lot of that word of mouth. The product speaks for itself. But we do need to be able to have something, whether it's in the form of a carbon exchange, to enhance Jasmy's brand reputation and, of course, attract just that, new customers. It's a win, right? In the win column. Overall, the launch of the carbon exchange, of course, is a positive development for Jasmy. But you have to keep in mind, it's going to help accelerate just that, Jasmy's company's growth. And we all want that. Now, I know I gave you some examples, and if anything, this will be the last bit of examples before we get into the next part of what we have for you guys tonight. So, basically, how do we get to the point where this whole thing of the carbon credit exchange could benefit just that, Jasmy? Because we understand that Jasmy is going to benefit these exchanges, and if anything, that's good for them. But we are talking about us and our beloved Jasmy. Well, for one, it's going to allow for increased liquidity for the Jasmy tokens. That sounds good. Jasmy tokens could be used, of course, to pay for the carbon credits, true, on the exchange. And that's also going to help in regards to, like we also mentioned, increase liquidity and make it more attractive to just that, other investors other than us as retail investors. Don't ever forget that. How about partnerships with just that, new customers? Great question. Jasmy could very well partner with new customers in the carbon credit market. Again, the big players that are part of these credit markets, especially in Japan, Singapore, and so on, once they get light that, hey, you know what? Who is this Jasmy? And if anything, they're connected to what? They're connected to this whole thing of blockchain. That sounds cool. Some people say, well, Hedera's already doing this. True, they are. There's competition. But what about when it comes to specifically this area of the world, Southeast, Asia, Japan, Singapore, and so on? Well, if you already have one that's regulatory compliant, then that in itself gives them the leg up. Now, this part. What about the development of new services, products, so on and so forth? I'd be asking that all day. Well, Jasmy could develop new products, services for the carbon credit market, such as carbon credit tracking and verification services. We know that it's not a could be, that's a will be. How so? With their connection of everything they got going on with IoT, especially with that WITS partnership, all these specific devices and so on, real devices being used to track just that data. Game changer. Now, in conclusion, in addition to the direct benefits of Jasmy, keep in mind the launch of the carbon exchange could also have a positive ripple effect for the Japanese economy. Again, back to the whole reference of Society 5.0. For example, the exchange could help attract investment to the Japanese from carbon credit buyers, sellers, and so on, but also, of course, around the world. The exchange could also help create new jobs in the carbon credit market. More jobs could also lead to more of that utility in motion, and more of that utility in motion means it incentivizes even the people that are doing the job. Overall, for you and me, the launch of the carbon exchange is a significant event, of course, for Jasmy and the Japanese economy as a whole. And that is a big win. All right. Before we kick it into the whole thing of the icy amphibian Jasmy coverage that references Elon Musk, we're going to jump back into the comments. We do have some more coverage for you guys tonight. We have some Ripple XRP and we have some Stellar that we want to pay attention to as well. Don't want to miss the Stellar coverage, because on the Stellar coverage, we're going to talk specifically about a particular professor who gives you some really bold examples in regards to Stellar and why it's so important. If you like the coverage so far, please smash that like and anything. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification, maybe even, share this broadcast or the channel with other people. We would really appreciate it. All right. Let's take off the branding because we're done with, actually, we're going to leave the branding on. I'm sorry. We have one more bit of coverage to get into, but let's jump back into the comments for a bit. Just going to double check how we're doing on the other screen. And I think we're doing pretty well. I also want to welcome crypto info _DYOR, aka Biz to the Moon, live from the metaverse. He's saying what up to Tim. Good to see you, Mr. Biz to the Moon. All right. So the last comment that we read is from Henry Brown. I do thank you guys for that. God bless Max Mahalkita. Thank you. And let's go further down to a few more comments. Thank you guys. Tim Shea, XXI, all you guys. I mean, I've seen a lot of you guys' comments on Twitter too. So thank you for that. 7:20, about half an hour ago. Damn, sorry to hear that, Max. I will dedicate my rosary prayers tomorrow to you, your family, and your dad. Thank you, man. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. Emil Nasir, regarding Jasmy, I'm very disappointed because I see that Jasmy's good projects are always active. But why do the prices always go down? Will Jasmy give you a surprise? The prices go down because of the market that we're in. You have to keep in mind. I mean, you got to definitely keep in mind when you saw Jasmy at the crazy prices that it was before. Like hence why you see the fudders are like Jasmy scam. It's like at $4.99, right? Basically $5. That was the height of the last particular bull market. Then it entered into, for instance, the crypto winter. And as a result, like extremely distressed prices. Now, don't get me wrong. We're almost fully diluted when it comes to what's been put in, from the supply into circulation. But you also got to keep in mind that Jasmy runs in correlation, and this is no BS. Look into it more yourself with BTC and Ethereum. So when BTC and Ethereum do well, Jasmy also does well. And it's not just referencing one chart. It's referencing the day chart, 7-day chart, 14-day chart, 30-day chart, and so on. It's very, very consistent with that. Now, for some people are like, well, I don't know if I want to invest in that. There's other better opportunities. Okay. I'm sure there is. But if anything, this is a very attractive risk to reward ratio if you hold Jasmy because of the actual prices at and the market cap that's at and so on. It's a big opportunity for most because they realize the risk to reward ratio. Hence why I always will state, ever noticed a lot of Ripple XRP holders also hold Jasmy, same with Stellar, because they look at like For a lot of us, you could buy a lot. What happens when, you know, I should say you buy a lot for real cheap. What happens when this thing starts to explode? Well, we had a lot of momentum before that whole thing of Binance US. We were at 8 tenths of a penny. I really truly believe that we could have got to over that. We could have got to over a penny if that whole thing didn't happen. I think we will get to that. But you have to keep in mind that that in itself is a pretty darn big deal. What about when we get more of these other companies actually using the utility and so on? This is where it's like it's not a meme token; it's actually a utility-based cryptocurrency. Um, so will Jasmine give you a surprise? Heck, it's already giving me a surprise. I'm already in the profits on it. Now, I didn't take profits at $1,500 because the way I look at it, Jasmine's a long-term hold for me. I'm looking to profit $1,500 from Jasmine. Some people say, well, you could have, took the profits and then, reposition yourself. Okay, yeah, right. I could have repositioned myself. Would have cost me a heck of a lot more than the amount of money that I poured into Jasmine. So, the way I look at it is, I'm still in the profits on it, not as much as I was, but it's all about like baby steps, and especially when it comes to the some big events that are happening. BTC spot ETFs coming up. Um, the fourth quarter, well, Japan's fourth quarter lockup. Basically, I guess the latest by March. But the BTC having in itself is going to be big, huge, I should say, for Jasmy if it runs a correlation of it and so on. So there's too many positive catalysts. It's just, if you look at it from a short-term perspective, then I guess you're disappointed. And I don't mean that, any disrespect to you and so on, Emil. But for a lot of people, you can always tell like what people have experienced previous bull markets and so on, and the ones that haven't. If you experience a previous bull market, then you understand how these cycles work. Um, a lot of people don't like being patient with this whole thing. They want when moon now. They don't want to wait any longer. But in that regard, I mean, come on, compare this, cryptocurrency market to other particular markets. I mean, other particular markets, you might have to be waiting like 5, 10 years or more, and whatnot. Or, stock market. In the stock market, you're doing pretty well if you're up 20 or 30%. I've never seen the gains that I had back in 2021 in the stock market, not even close. And I do own some stocks. Never had the success that I had, for instance, with crypto. I didn't become rich, but you guys know my story. Turned 10K and 120K. And was never able to do anything even close to that in regards to stocks. So I do have a plan. All I got to say is, research Jasmy more. If it's not for you, hey, let bygones be bygones and so on. But I do want to welcome you to the show, Emil. And any more questions you have, feel free to drop them in. Guys, make sure you welcome Emil. And I do see that Tim Shea has done that. So thank you guys for doing that. Boomer F. the Sooner says, he believes that Jasmy will hit $1 without a lockup. That's interesting. All had different perspectives. All right, let's see here. River agrees. Henry Brown, piece of the family. Thank you so much. Baraf says 50 billion market cap in a bull run is very possible. Yes, more than. Richie Rich says, great to see you, Max. Hope all is well. It's not, but that's okay. It's part of life, I guess you could say. But it's allowed me to draw more closer with the Lord. And, the way I look at it is my dad will be in a better place in the kingdom of heaven. Finally get to meet his maker, get to know Jesus, for crying out loud. I mean, that's amazing. But thank you for being here, Richie Rich. Daniel B. Jasmy is for Japan primarily. I think not marketing is intentional because they need to make certain things work first. Right. That's a good point, because if anything, when it comes to Jasmy, a big focus on, hey, we got to become regulatory compliant in our home base or home country. And it's more strict there compared to here. And a lot of times the fudders, they never want to reference that. Have you guys ever noticed that? They'll just focus on that, the classic chart all the time, zoom all the way out and so on. Jasmy scam. Well, if it's such a scam, then why is it regulatory compliant at every single turn of the, of the table, if you will, turn the table? You know what I mean? Anyway, we're going to read a few more comments from the one and only XXI Gaming, 21 Gaming. See, I finally said it right? Respect, Max, real talk. Always appreciate you, man. That was really sweet of you to sent me a message on Thanksgiving. Really, it meant a lot. I have some friends, even childhood friends, that haven't done that, and I sent them messages, and it's just crickets. And I was like, at least you sent a message. That was super nice of you. Thank you for that. All right, let's see here. The road less traveled. I feel the same about Ada Max. All right, I do still hold a lot of Ada, but I haven't DCA'd into it again. Nothing against Ada. We'll read this and then we'll get it back into the coverage. Corey Bive. Max, I find it interesting that Michaela, as in Jed Michaela, hired David Schwartz and Chris Larson. Heck, he should get as much credit for Ripple as anyone. I think he is actually. I just on the surface, new people don't know that, but I'm glad you know that. All right. I said I want to read one more. I will read one more. Two more actually. Daniel B. Saving face is the most important thing in Japan. True. For example, once they have a new product out, they show the world and it's completed. We might have time to get into a particular interview from the guy from A-Star. They are saving face. In the interview, this guy who's the CEO of A-Star, he talks about specifically how Japan realizes they missed the boat when it comes to Web 2. But want to know something? They are not going to miss the boat for Web 3. So even from an A-Star and in Jasmy perspective and so on, the way I look at it is, okay, awesome. So am I going to invest in these particular life-changing, generational wealth, future millionaire status, or in some cases, some of you guys even billionaire status, depending on how much you have in some of these cryptocurrencies? Am I going to miss out on that? Or am I going to start investing in some of this stuff when it's over $1? No, but a lot of people will. I cover quant obviously a lot. And God, man, if I could have just simply got into altcoins back in like 2017, 2018, and so on, it's like, I hope to God I could have found out about quant, you know? But it's like, think about how many people, for instance, and I'll just pull this up for a second, were lucky and got into QNT at like, what was it, like around $1? I don't know. I'm just gonna pull this up in regards to QNT. I mean, let me just share this for a second. This is not QNT coverage. Just want to give you guys just a quick example. It's only take like a minute. So basically, you see here, and I think you see it. Yeah, you do see it. Our quant is up just a little bit, $102 and so on. The height of the last bull market, it was up, over $400+. But yeah, look at this. Can you imagine coming into quant on August 23rd, 2018, 5 years ago, at 16.5 cents, and then the all-time highs was $428 back on September 11th, 2021. All right. So for some people to experience that particular market cycle, that's massive, absolutely massive. The way I look at it is, I bought quant for under 100. I bought at 85, 90. I bought like as much as I think 128. Right, I've DCA'd into it multiple times. But my key thing is, we're doing this. What about people when it comes to like Jasmy doing it? I mean, if quant was at 16.5 cents back in August 23rd, 2028, and you have people still buying, at over $100, they realize what? It's still a bargain. You got to keep in mind, with Jasmy, it's still so very, very cheap. I mean, it's like, 0. Are we under, what is it, 0.005? Maybe we broke under that. But the point is, it's still very undervalued, and it's still a very attractive risk to reward ratio. All right. I'm going to welcome Selmo Fudd. I think I welcomed you earlier. Yeah, I did. Good to see you, brother Selmo. We had the last bit of Jasmy coverage to get into tonight, and it's from Icy Amphibian. So, shout out to Icy. I do appreciate you, Icy, if you're watching on the replay or you're here tonight. I definitely want to get into some of the coverage that he has. All right, so let's just go ahead and pull this up. And I've already went ahead and retweeted this on Twitter earlier. I was suggesting that everybody do that. So here it is from Icy Amphibian. Why is this so significant? Well, for one, I want to state this. After you read this and you watch the video, I would highly suggest every single person, if you really are passionate about Jasmy, to retweet this, especially if you use the X platform. Retweet this and put in @Elon Musk. All right, so retweet what you see here. We'll show it here in a bit. But you definitely want to do the at Elon Musk. If enough people were tweeting this out, we may get lucky and grab his attention. And I've stated this before. Jasmy answers a problem, a legitimate problem that he has when it comes to the X platform, because it's not called Twitter anymore, right? I think we should all call it X at this point, right? Been there, done that. We need to retweet. If you hold Jasmy, you should retweet this. There's no reason why you shouldn't. If you watch these live shows, you should retweet this. So you're part of the Jasmy Armed Forces, the Jasmy Navy, the Jasmy Army, some of you guys call it. You need to retweet this, because if we get lucky, like I said, and catch the attention of Elon Musk, that's huge. Some people say, oh, he's never going to do that. You don't know that. You don't know that at all. Some people say, well, let's hope him. So what? Like, as the saying goes, like Will Fix has mentioned, is hope such a bad thing? Like, if I don't have hope, that means I'm never going to see my parents again? Come on, give me a break. I am going to see my parents again. I love them to death. My dad's only going to be around for a few more days or a couple weeks, whatever the case be. But I have hope that I'll see him again, my loved ones again. And I have hope, big hope, just like anybody, in regards to what we hold and why we hold it. So by all means, you love Jasmy, retweet this. Get Elon Musk's attention, because it does solve a problem that he has. Let's jump into exactly what that is from the one and only Icy Amphibian. And he has tagged Mr. Elon Musk. And what does it say? I'm going to come out of the frame. I want to put emphasis on this and not my mug. It states, plain as day, at Elon Musk, I have an idea on how you can reduce your company's economic reliance on advertisers. How about you partner with Jasmy Management, make all data on X blockchain data, issue a personal data locker to all users. I've been saying this for the longest time as well. And turn X into a data market, a decentralized data marketplace. He tags Jasmy, Hara, you name it. The judge is in the public. You appreciate the coverage. I want you to watch this. If anything, I'll see if we can full screen this. Give me a second. Yes, we can. I'll take that little thing off for a second as we play the video. All right, let's watch this. You love Jasmy? Prove it. Share this. Here we go.
No, actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do, it's going to kill the company.
And do you think that
and the whole world will know that those advertisers killed the company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say, we didn't kill the company.
Oh yeah.
They're going to say,
tell it to Earth.
But they're going to say, Elon, that you killed the company because you said these things, and that they were inappropriate things, and that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform, right? That's what they're going to say.
And let's see how Earth responds to that.
So okay, this goes back to
we'll both make our cases,
right?
And we'll see what the outcome is.
What are the economics of that for you? I mean, you have enormous resources, so you can actually keep this company going for a very long time. Would you keep it going for a long time if there was no advertising?
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertiser boycott, it will fail because of an advertiser boycott. And that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on Earth will know.
What do you think then of the, this goes back to the idea of trust, though.
Then it'll be gone. And it'll be gone because of an advertiser boycott.
But you recognize that some of those people are going to say that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform. And I just wonder and ask you and think about that for a second.
Tell it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be...
The judge is the public.
And you think that the public is going to say that Disney is making a mistake?
Yes.
And they're going to boycott Disney?
They already are.
Well, they're
So very powerful words, to say the least. I'm going to show you guys obviously a little bit more in regards to this. Thank you to Icy Amphibian for, retweeting that and chopping it up and so on. We're going to share this with you. So I think I shared most of this, right? Yeah, I did. But just to kind of show you one more time, if you are following me on the X platform, you just simply need to go to where you see me retweet this. And I retweeted with somebody. I think it was somebody else tagged me, and I retweeted that one. I'll retweet this one too.
Actually, what
So just go ahead and do that. But basically, it's like that. You can follow Icy Amphibian, myself, or whoever, and you just click on this little thing right here, and then you retweet it. Get it out there. Right now we have 26 retweets. I think I also have my other one, so I technically have a double retweet. But get it out there. We talk about being a Jasmy army, a Jasmy navy, wherever you want to call it. Like, get with the community. We're labeled as a meme token community, but we have utility. So then we need to be just that. You've seen like other communities, you know who they are. They come in, they, like they can flood a stream, right? But basically speaking, they are a very passionate community. If you love Jasmy, show that you have that passion. Retweet the living heck out of that. If anything, it'll trigger the algorithm on Twitter, and you'll see Jasmy trending. And then if anything, it'll spark other people's attention. Why is Elon Musk being tagged here all the time? It's worth a try. Don't ever say, "Oh, it never happened." That just tells me you're naive and you just don't care. And if that's the case, then you got to do what you got to do. But if you hold this and you believe it, then I think you will do this, because if anything, why not? And if you don't hold X, or you not hold X, if you don't have X, okay, I understand that, But anybody that does have X, I'd be doing that. I'd be doing that for sure. All right. I think that concludes what we have in regards to Jasmy for the night. The next bit of coverage we're going to get into is Ripple's XRP, and we're going to take a brief pause to kick it back into the comments. Thanks again to all you guys who are here tonight. A lot of info in regards to XRP and even Stellar. You definitely want to stick around for both. All right. We're approaching the 1 hour and 15-minute mark. And if you missed out on Jasmy later on, you can always watch the replay or the chopped up version. All right, let's go further down in the comments. Corey B-Bay says, "Hey, honey, can you pick up the dog dump scam?" Oh, jeez, that's horrible. All right, thank you. Let's go further down. We got GS who's in the house. Good to see you, Mr. GS. Boom. And we also have Just Forfeit. Welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while. You're probably like, well, I haven't seen you in a while either. Well, glad to have you here, Just Forfeit. All right. Daniel B at 7:30 says, "Peeps that call it a scam are mostly bro keys. It has some money to sit on and wait. So it's not a scam. Diversify. That's a good point. All right. I didn't see this at 7:30. I'm so sorry. And try not to intentionally do that. Just Forfeit with the $5 super chat. He says, "Just me scam." All right. Thank you. A little inside joke, guys. I don't think he really means that. So, all right. Let's see here. Stump Rider, I think I welcomed you before. Good to see you. And on top of that, we got Just Forfeit. He says, "Can y'all even imagine Jasmy hits half their KPI?" Right. Exactly. The KPI target is 17. I don't see a lot of blockchain DLT projects even coming out with a predicted KPI target. I got to keep in mind, guys, this is Japan, all that whole thing of the honor system and reputation and their legacy on the line. But yeah, if Jasmy hits like half of the KPI, mind blowing. Well, for many, many people. Very, very true. I agree with you on that. All right. There's that link I dropped earlier. Let's welcome the one and only April Cornwall. Good to see you, April. She says, hey. Good to see you, April. I guess Mike's been pretty busy if he's not in the comments. Well, that's good. Means he's making that moolah. All right, let's see here. We got Brittany saying what's up to April. That's all good. Let's go further down. You've been sick. So I guess Mike's probably still sick too, huh? That's not good. I hope you get well soon, April, you and your family. All right, let's see here. We got X marks the spot. I was mentioning you earlier. All right, Maximus, what will you do when you become a millionaire in 2025? I'm going to start building. Well, for one, I'm going to go on a much deserved vacation. I do plan on going on a historical. I'm going to visit a bunch of historical sites because I teach history. I used to teach history, I should say. So I'm going to visit like a lot of historical sites. I want to visit not so much of like like, Paris and stuff like that, but I definitely want to visit the UK. I have some family that lives in the UK. I have some cousins that live there. I'm also going to go visit France, battle sites and so on. Lot of small towns. I want to visit southern France, believe it or not. So I'm going to go to a lot of historical places in regards to like World War II history and whatnot. And then I'm also going to try to document it, believe it or not. My buddy is a filmmaker. He lives out in LA, and it's something we've been talking about doing. And I invited him in the future. So yeah, believe it or not, we're gonna make it like a little documentary based on it. And why not? That greatest generation, they're in their late 90s. Even if they were like, think about this. I think I talked about this before. So, a person that was 18 years old that stormed the beach, beaches of Normandy and so on. That guy's like 97, 98 years old. That's crazy. A lot of these guys are in their hundreds. I think there's only like a little over 100,000 of these guys living. I asked AI a question. I said something like, how many of these people are like, dying? I hate to say it, but it's true. Something like over 530 a day. So this generation is starting to die off. And anyway, yeah, it's just something we're looking to do, and I think it'd be interesting. It'd be more than just having a fun time. It'd be nice to also, do that. If for any reason he changes his mind on the documentary, then he does. It'll be still a nice, vacation to get away. And then, of course, in the future, making my own video game. So 2 of them, believe it or not, 3D turn-based strategy game, and then also a first-person shooter game. That I'll just go ahead and tell you guys what it's called. It's called A History of Warfare. And I'll just leave it with that. All right. Let's go further down. IDK. He says, sorry to hear about your dad, Max. Many thanks for all the hard work and everyone else that helps the show. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right. Let's see. We have Elon Muff, 742. Max, I tagged you in something about R3. It's quick and a big deal. It's okay. No worries. We'll get into that in just a bit. R3 BlackRock, awesome. All right. Well, good to see you, Mr. Elon Muff, Mike Cornwell. Boom. All right, Corey Bebe with the $5 super chat. Max, can you look at FSI Sports? Thanks. I don't think I'm gonna do that tonight, but I'll I don't know. Well, you did do a super chat. Now I kind of feel obligated to do that. I just don't want to do like a 2-hour show. Well, let me see. Let me see what time it is. Dang, it's already 8:17. If you don't mind, I'll try to put this on my list. Hold on a second. FSI Sports. How about this? I'll try to. This will be even better for you. All right. I'll do more of my own research, off live stream, and then I'll bring it to everybody on a segment. And when I see that you're here in the chat, then I'll be like, okay, we'll just do that. Sound fair enough? Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, man. I'll look more into it. Tonight I'm not really wanting to do like 2.5, 3 hours of a show. I think you guys understand why that is. So, but he states FSI Sports uses AI and blockchain in sports betting and gaming. Huh. Very cool. All right, let's get into what we have from Mike Cornwell. Let me see what we got. Hold on. I got to answer this call real quick, just real quick. All right, that was my neighbor friend. Tell him to call him back later. I know what that's about. So, all right, just gonna get into Mr. Cornwell's comment. Hold on a second. I skipped a comment, $1.99 super chat. I didn't mean to do that. Let's see here. Nah, I didn't skip it, man. So you gotta keep in mind, there's a bunch of comments, and I go through all the comments, and here it is. See, I didn't skip it. Skipping it would have been like this, right? So there it's right here, and then I'm like, "Hey, slot warrior," So I didn't quite skip it. It's just they haven't got around to getting into it. All right, $earn hyper deflationary 100% reflections. Okay. Well, I don't know if we're going to be looking at all this stuff tonight, to be honest. I mean, I could put on my list to look more into. I mean, yeah, keep in mind, I'm even lucky to be here tonight because everything going on with my dad and so on. I mean, I haven't done any shows for 3 or 4 days, but I do appreciate the super chat. I imagine you're probably from that team and so on, but let me just add this to this list real quick. Hold on a second. So we got FSI Sports, and we have Earn. All right. I don't know. Maybe that's going to tick you off. I'm sorry, but I mean, I'd rather. Again, I just didn't really want to go like 3 or 4 hours tonight and so on. I know some people are like, it's real quick. I'd rather know what the heck I'm talking about. But let me see. Maybe we'll have time to get into FSI Sports and also yours. Just bear with me for a bit. All right, let's see here. All right. Let's pull up this thing from Mike Cornwell. I mean, in a way, it's kind of like you guys are in a queue of like, hey, can you show this? Can you show that? Anyway. All right, so let's pull this up. This is Ripple XRP. Give me a second. Hold on just a moment. I got to double check a setting. Let's see what was deleted. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Let me see just a second here. Is your project, is this a meme token project? Let me see this for a second. Earn. Is your project ever Earn? Is that what this is? Let me know in the comments. Now, when we say Jasmy scam, it's just an inside joke, man. All right. All right. See, I'm kind of derailed off of this. I mean, I do welcome super chats and so on, but I mean, at the same time, if it's just shilling and just kind of like, I mean, we'll look into your project, but I'm not going to just be like, hey, poke the bear, the trained monkey, the puppet, and I just boom, I cover anything. I do appreciate it. I will do a proper look into it and so on, but that's just the way I look at it. And we could agree to disagree. Maybe that disappoints you. I don't know. All right. Yeah. Elon Muff, Mike Cornwell. Let's pull up what you have in that regard. You've been waiting. And you maybe think, well, he didn't do a super chat. He does super chats all the time. He's been a member of a community for like, almost going on 2 years. So we're going to pull this up. And if anything, it's solid utility. R3, BlackRock, all this stuff. I'd be paying attention to that. All right. So Mike has this. Let's pull this up before we get into our XRP segment anyway. And here it is. What is this all about? Well, I think we got a lot to get into in regards to this. So let me pull up the branding for a second. All right. So Mike has this, and he's talking specifically about R3 is BlackRock. That sounds very interesting. I'd be wanting to know more about this too. It says Quarter can be on multiple blockchains. The question is which shares, right? Well, we already covered a few. XRP, everybody talks about R3 Corda with XDC, the R3 Corda bridge. So we already know about some of that. Let's pull up this for a second. I'll make this a little bit bigger. All right. So nice and big for you guys. I'll try to bring it further down. Look what it says here from Mr. Cornwell. You have this whole thing of R3. It states, SEC home, search the next generation EDGAR system, company search, current page. But yeah, look at the state location, New York, fiscal year, and I don't know what that's all about, but December 31st, and getting into this business address. That's crazy. That's okay. That's pretty blunt. That's to the point. This is R3. Are you nuts? Yeah, R3 business address, care of BlackRock. That is insane. Park Avenue, 55 East, 52nd Street, New York, New York. Mailing address. Interesting. Wow, go figure. That is crazy for the next generation Edgar system. So R3 is, in fact, BlackRock? Makes you think. I mean, I don't know for sure. It could very well be, right? So look at this. Oh, let's jump back to this. Mr. Man is on it. This guy says people on Twitter are better at digging stuff up than the government officials. All right, hold on a second. Oh, see, we got to check our sources though. Wrong. R3. That is R3 Capital Management LLC. This might be another thing acquired in 2009. Dig deeper before posting. Well, I don't know. But R3. Interesting. Let's see what R3 Capital Management is. R3 Capital LLC. Hold on a second. Yeah, just on the surface, it's not the same R3. So anyway, it's always good to have two or more resources, right? Two or more sources. I'm glad that people are trying to dig deep on it and so on. Then there's this person. Who is it? XRP. Yeah. It's Mr. Man talking about this. 19 seconds. Hold on a second. R3 quarter-based token system. Mentions XRP as settlement option. We've shared this before. You know, this is nothing really too new. But I'm glad that he's getting into this as well. All right, so I do have some actual XRP for you guys and so on. And before I get into that, let's just double check the comments for a second. Hold on a minute. All right. So I see Legrand Commission is in the house. And what's his name is gone anyway, so I don't know. Well, if he's upset, he's upset. I mean, it's a little bit of a super chat shill, but anyway. You can let us know what stands out about your project. I guess he did. What did he say? Let me see. Hyper deflationary, 100% reflections. I don't know. Sounds like it could possibly be a meme token, and I don't know. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but a shill's a shill, right? Anyway. All right, let's get back to what we have. We got everything on the screen. Let's jump back into the comments. So we have obviously a few guys who came, and we'll share some more XRP here in a bit. Let me just turn off the branding for a second. All right. Let's see here. IDK, any news on Jasmy Binance Japan next year? Any thoughts on the ETS set? I do have some in regards to that. I just haven't had a chance to get into that today. You want to make this a super long show. But somebody did DM me about that. I don't know if it was IC Amphibian. I don't know who it was, but somebody was talking a lot about that. Welcome to Slot Warrior. Corey Bue says he's confident XRP will move a lot of money. However, XLM is moving more money than anyone else, like Franklin Templeton. Yeah, there's going to be that, spot ETF with them. Let's see here. Let me see. Let's see where this next comment is. See if you're just back in the comments or not. Yeah, you're not even here. If you're still here, William Brewer, just say you're here and we'll pull up your thing for you, okay? But if not, then I don't know. All right, let's see here. I'll read this at least. Price action boring you? No, I'm up in the profits on a lot of them. Why not earn day and night with compounded gains? The best deflationary token, the best reflection token with 100% reflections. Don't look past earn, brother. Will turn heads. Okay, maybe it will. I don't know. I'm not saying it will, won't. Or won't. Sorry. All right, let's see here. Biz to the Moon. He says, I heard Jasmy partner with a college in Tokyo. Can't find the name though. and they will be facilitating CBDCs live in the metaverse, which will pump the value, Jasmy, to the moon with Biz to the Moon reporting. I know. I try to do impersonation. It doesn't turn out too well, but that's my impersonation. Well, that's cool, Biz. Glad to hear it. River already left. And Wilder Jackson, Safe Moon did 17 billies with Lackey tokenomics. Earn as a true sender. Do your own research. Okay. Welcome, Wilder Jackson. You vote for me for Jasmy Ambassador. Well, thank you for that. If I never get it, that's okay too. I'm not going to be all butthurt about it. Awesome Jasmy coverage. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome. All right. And let's see where we're at. All right, let's go to this one. Corey Bibe, no worries, Max. Just picking your brand. All right, cool. Let's read a few more. No problem. He has so many scammers pretending to be him. Who is that? 2-bit? All right, La Grande Commission. La Grande Commission. We praying for your dad, Max. Thanks, man. Yeah, he definitely could use all the prayers he can get. And your research is off the chain. Thanks, Nomad. Appreciate that. All right. Well, let's get back to some of the research, okay? So we did have it a little bit from not Mr. Man, but Mr. Elon Muff, Mike Cornwell. Let's see there. Mr. Icy Amphibian, I do see your DM. I'll look more into that a little bit later. Again, I'm trying not to make this like super long show tonight. All right. I do appreciate your research as usual. All right. What we're going to do now is jump into the Ripple XRP coverage. I always say that, but we're really going to do it this time. So here we go. And this is good. Even if you're like the type of guy, no offense to Boomer, you have XRP, but you're like, I believe more into Stellar. And I want to pay attention to some of this stuff. Why pay attention to some of this stuff? Well, for one, you got to keep in mind, Mike Cornwell retweeted this. This is from ISO 222. Let's do it at Rohitku. I want to share this with you. Mike shared this I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And let's jump into this. So I want to share this, and this is a big, big deal in my opinion. When you can have the whole concept of Ripple being labeled as a digital bank, you don't think that sounds bullish in itself? I think it sounds absolutely nuts. So look at this for a second. Okay. This is from Neobank Tracker, the financial brand. Somebody took this, of course, with a screenshot of their phone. So I'll make this a little bit bigger, especially if you're a Boomer effing sooner sitting on his couch and watching it from his couch. All right. So with that said, there's nothing wrong being on your couch. Be comfortable, you guys. I know I always give Boomer a bunch of Anyway, shout out to Boomer. The financial brand Neobank Tracker. What is a digital bank? Well, some of us know what we think we know, but it says to be included in this list of digital banks, you must be actively providing at least one of the following financial services directly to consumers, businesses, or both. Digital banking, digital payments, right? Ripple's XRP, on-demand liquidity, right? Now called Ripple Payments, digital lending, investment services, solutions, personal finance, management, PFM tools, or financial education wellness tools. I was worried about, the digital payments and obviously banking, right? No kidding. But this other stuff, not really. I'll be honest about that. Other types of fintechs and financial services firms will not be included, of course, in this list of digital banks. You have to keep in mind, though, that a digital bank does not need full banking license or charter to qualify for the list of digital banks. Now, when was the last time this list of digital banks was updated? That's a great question. I've been wanting to know that too. This list of digital banks was first released in early 2021, updated quarterly. It is now including over 350 different providers of digital banking services, making it the biggest indexable, interactive, and up-to-date list of digital banks in the world. Now, this wasn't planned. I want you to hear me on this. I want you to think outside the box. And if anything, when I chop this up, this will be called XRP/the graph. Oh, I know where Max is going with this one. You better believe it. Because why would I include the graph on this? Well, we know that the graph is referred to as a GRT as the world's largest indexing protocol for blockchain, right? It's called the Google of blockchain. As we know, Google is the largest indexing protocol. If you have something like the graph, right, in which you can basically do what it says here, right? And that is to, you know, have the biggest indexable, interactive, up-to-date list of digital banks in the world. Well, wouldn't you need, for instance, something like the graph to provide all sorts of indexing? I mean, we talk about utility in motion. A digital bank is one thing, but to have an indexing platform that if somebody was going to, instead of Google this, to use something like the graph to find out all this information, then that's even some of the graph's utility in motion. So I want to give them an honorable mention. The last update, January 2nd, 2023. The next update will be April 2023. Think about it, right around the time in regards to the halving and so on. So I thought I'd point that out for you before we get more into all this. And getting into this next part of what we have, a little bit more like the screenshot. So let's pull this up. You do see it. It states types of digital banking providers in the list. And we already covered some of these, right? But it's all there. Target audience, consumers, businesses. What it even says in regards to financial education. I'm, of course, a former educator. Tools that will help consumers build their financial knowledge and skills includes credit repair, credit monitoring, credit building services. Interesting. But of course, when it comes to Ripple's XRP, we always think about payments, facilitating payments and or money transferred between parties. Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, digital banking, providing the same. Service intends to replace or compete with checking accounts offered by traditional banks and credit unions. So this whole notion, this narrative, especially if you're just brand new and you never even knew about the whole thing of crypto, this is your first time watching, this is like, wow, the shift of going towards the old money to the new money. Jump into this next part of what we have. Look what's also on the screenshot. Let's pull this up as well. So on this one, employees, Ripple, look what it says. Some of you guys know this, some of you don't. Employees, 501 to 1,000. Funding in millions, 293.80. Doesn't have all the list of the continents, but we already know a lot of those, right? Even entering into Africa. Headquarters, San Francisco. Description, Ripple provides one frictionless experience to send money globally using the power of blockchain. Yeah, no kidding. All right. Let me see this. And then this last part, this is again from Mr. Stangraba. Ripple's bank account. Listen close. You will find secrets. Remember how we're talking about LCX becoming a bank? About Ripple's XRP. Ripple will become a bank. Lender of last resort. There's even a video. So we're going to jump into this. Breakdown of how XRP is used within interbank transactions. Ooh, sounds super. So I'm gonna come out of the frame. This is about 1 minute. There's another video right after it. Great research. And if anything, let's go ahead and full screen this. If you appreciate the coverage, please smash that like. Make sure you're subbed to myself, Will Fix, and so on, especially if you're into XRP. Here we go.
What you do is you pay for payments in your local currency that is used to buy XRP in the middle, and XRP is liquidated into the beneficiary currency. Again, at no point is this market off limits. It doesn't matter that your bank is shut over the weekends. You can make cross-border payments at any time between almost any currency. And you do that through the network. So 3 seconds for a cross-border payment. Because of a concept that's called atomic settlement, your payment will either pass in full or fail in full, so we don't have the same failure rates. And because of these efficiencies, the cost is dramatically lower as well. You're not going through intermediary after intermediary who will all take a cut. You're just liquidating directly to a receiver, a regulated receiver in the market that you need to get to. I know that that's a lot, so we can.
Yes, it is a lot. We'll jump into the next one. And I'm out of the frame. Let's check this one out.
Is we work.
rewind this one. This one's under a minute as well. And this is the last of the videos. So we're going to go ahead and play this as well. Here we go.
Is we work with you as an organization to determine how much value that you'd like to have and hold for those cross-border payments on a daily basis. So you'll have access to the funds in a wallet on bailment. So you don't at that point own the XRP that's sat in that wallet. When you want to make a transfer, you withdraw those funds. And as Fiona mentioned, it goes across the XRP ledger to a receiver where it's liquidated. The following business day, you will then get an invoice from Ripple that says, hey, yesterday you made a $500,000 payment. Here's the invoice to repay that to Ripple. And that would be a local Aussie dollar payment from your bank account to Ripple's bank account in Australia.
I think I might actually start to understand blockchain by the end of that. That was actually...
Is we work...
All right, that was cool. Let me just go ahead and pause that. And I think for the most part, you get the idea. You get the gist of why this is so important. I mean, at least I would. I want to jump into this next part. And don't get me wrong, the whole thing of, Ripple becoming a digital bank, that's huge news. That's some of the biggest news I think I've seen in a while when it comes to that. It's one thing to go from, being speculative of some of the stuff and to get a little bit more of that confirmation, some examples. That was cool. So shout out to Mike Cornwell sharing that. Obviously from Chad Steingraber, if I'm pronouncing that right. Let's jump into this next part. And it's about Ripple partner Lulu Exchange. Now, not to be, confused with Crypto Lulu, Louis Jackson, but let's go ahead and share this as well. And basically speaking, here it is. This comes from XRP Drops with a Z. All right. So what do we have here? Well, Ripple partner Lulu Exchange, who can be followed at Lulu Exchange, expands in the United Arab Emirates. This is good. We know that when it comes to like Dubai and, the UAE, probably some of the top proponents when it comes to embracing, crypto, obviously blockchain, DLT, and so on, right? It's one of those hubs of the world that stands out. So Lulu Exchange, the 98th customer engagement center of Lulu Exchange in the UAE, is now open at Shibaya 12. The new customer engagement center was inaugurated by Mr. Adib Ahmed, managing director of Lulu Financial Holdings, is in the esteemed presence of our senior management and other dignitaries. Okay, interesting. It says it's now open. Even gives the address. It's in Abu Dhabi, obviously, the United Arab Emirates. Apparently, I guess this was reported, on the 28th, so just a couple days ago. We'll go ahead and play this. Interesting. Let's see what's going on with this. It's only 22 seconds, so I'll stay in the frame. If anything, I think I'm going to mute it because I don't want us to get demonetized, right? But yeah, you see it. It's a nice little example. Send smart. Actual employees. That's kind of cool. All right. Kind of seems like a version of what, guys? I mean, I would say kind of has that MoneyGram feel, right? On the surface, but this is with Ripple. So that's cool. Glad to share that with you guys. I think if anything, I will retweet this one and then get into the next part. What we have, we got a little bit more about this. So Cryptopolitan, we're going to get into this for a second. So this is a little bit more about this. UAE. Let me see if I can get rid of this advertisement. Although I might not be able to. No, can't get rid of it. I apologize. But basically speaking, UAE officially stops using the dollar for oil trades. This is not necessarily like Ripple XRP coverage. You got to keep in mind, we're always paying attention to what's going on in the real world and so on. Not to say that crypto is not part of the real world. Of course it is. But this is interesting because we did, share with you guys this whole thing of what the UAE is doing and so on. Talked about, this whole thing with Ripple. but the UAE officially stopping the use of the US dollar for oil trades. This is posted on November 27th. And getting more into this, like it says, the BRICS influence and UAE's strategic shift, new era in global oil trade. We've been talking about this for, I don't know, a good year or more. UAE shifted from using US dollar to local currencies in its oil trades. Interesting. Move aligns with the broader dollarization efforts of the BRICS countries. That particular economic alliance uses, for instance, or I should say, which basically UAE recently joined. It's going to allow the UAE to significantly impact the dominance of the US dollar in the global oil market. So, yeah, the decision could significantly, I should say, impact that. Getting more into this, the landscape is witnessing a seismic shift as the United Arab Emirates fully moves away from the dollar. Strategic pivot aligns with the broader ambitions of BRICS. Yeah, we just mentioned that. Changeover involving the transaction into local currencies for oil transactions marks a significant departure from long-established dollar dominance in the global oil market. Interesting. And of course, there's the whole thing about the influence and also the UAE's strategic shift. I'll talk about this for a brief bit. So we know about some of the BRICS countries and so on. Obviously, the big players, Brazil, Russia. You have, for instance, India, China, South Africa, right? But they expanded their membership. It includes now the United Arab Emirates, along with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and of course Argentina from South America joining the bit or the bunch. It basically signifying a growing inclination towards de-dollarization among these nations, a move that challenges the traditional hegemony of the U.S. dollar, of course, international trade. Now, while this all seems like it's doom and gloom, to get to kind of like the point here, what is this going to mean when it comes to some of these other particular assets that we hold? I mean, I would definitely throw XDC into the mix. It's like what will it do for the likes of XDC, especially when it comes to trade. But the UAE's decision to prioritize local currency over the US dollar in new oil deals is clear reflection of the settlement. This move isn't just a mere policy shift. And again, I think we should probably put a highlight on that. I have referenced Cryptopolitan before. It's a strategic maneuver in the complex chess game of global economics, and basically who will emerge out in the ahead of the pack in that regard. That's a new era for global oil trade. We know this. The significance of this move cannot be overstated. It's not just a matter of switching currencies. It's a matter of altering the very fabric of international oil trade. Very true. Potential ripple effects. I think it's funny how they mentioned that. On the US dollar could be substantial, marking a shift in the global economic power balance. Anything, I'm just out of curiosity, interested to click on that to see where that went. So interesting. That's a subliminal message. Look what happens here. So when I clicked on that link, it actually brings you right to Ripple news, as in XRP, right? Read what are XRP news today, and yeah, it brings you right to that. Interesting, because you know what? That is significant. That's a subliminal message, right? Yeah, I would totally agree. So the potential ripple effects, that's crazy, on the US dollar could be substantial, marking a global economic power balance or shift. Reports indicate that the UAE is eyeing potential oil and gas deals with up to 15 countries, including heavyweights like China, Russia, Egypt, all of whom are members of BRICS Alliance and advocates, of de-dollarization. Can't talk tonight. This isn't just about diversifying trade. It's about making a statement on the global stage. The UAE is not just following a trend, it's setting one. That's a pretty bold statement. The move by the UAE is to embrace local currencies in oil trades. It is not an isolated event. It's part of a larger narrative where nations are increasingly questioning the status quo and exploring alternatives that better serve their economic interests. This trend towards de-dollarization, particularly in crucial sectors like oil, could herald a new chapter in global economics where diversity in currency use and trade becomes the norm rather than the exception. I would agree with that as well. I'm going to read this last part. The UAE forges new partnerships and navigates this evolving terrain. It positions itself not just as a key player in the oil market, also as a trailblazer in the movement towards a more diversified and dynamic global economy. Very, very true and interesting in that light. All right. Before we kick it into the next part of our coverage, I do want to just get into this last bit of XRP that we have for you. It's just another brief video. I think Crypto Mike might have shared this. I might have shared this. I don't know where the case be. I want to bring it to you, and then we'll kick it into the next bit. So Riz XRP, we follow each other. Good content creator, great researcher. He says digging in creates, for example, this Michael Barr, X Ripple and the Fed, FX and derivatives connect the dots. We're always connecting the dots here, right? But why this particular point or particular time being? What's the big deal? So this is 2 minutes for yourself. Kind of crazy perspective. Let's watch this. Here we go.
Let me say a bit more about how innovation plays into this goal of making the financial system fairer. We should welcome financial innovation as a positive force that can increase access and lower costs for individuals and for businesses. I also want to be clear at the same time, Michael, it's important for us not to set up a regulatory environment that stifles innovation. Innovation is really critical to the financial sector. It's critical to the American economy.
So he's very pro innovation and especially Ripple. And when we go onto the Federal Reserve website and go under Michael Barr, it doesn't say anywhere here that he was with Ripple. They left that part out because this is a massive deal. Okay. This is just, you can't make this up. And then on the ISDA, just Ripple just joined. Okay. But this is a huge deal. Ripple could play a huge role in this, in the derivatives market, because derivatives trading often involves foreign exchange and settlement processes. Participants might engage in contracts that involve currencies other than their home currency. For example, a US-based investor might enter into a derivative contract with a European counterpart that is denominated in euros. In such cases, FX considerations come into play because the value of the contract needs to be converted from one currency to another for evaluation and settlement. And this is the most important part right here. FX and settlement are essential to derivatives trading as they impact the financial aspects of contract valuation and fulfillment. It's crucial for market participants to have a clear understanding of these processes to effectively manage their derivative positions and mitigate potential risk.
Obviously, he has a lot more to share than just that. But you know what? You could definitely appreciate the perspective and, what he had to share and so on. The way I look at it basically is, like we'll fix what he was talking about. I'm just kind of pulling up the branding again because it kind of helps with my markers when I chop it up later. But, Will Fix was talking a lot about the whole thing of Ripple's XRP and derivatives and so on. So I think that pounds on a little bit more of even what he was talking about in that regard. So with that said, that concludes, at least for now, our Ripple XRP coverage. And thank you to Crypto Mike and a few of you other guys and so on for sharing a few of these things. It's definitely appreciated. And if anything, we will get back into the comments. And after that, we'll get into the last bit of coverage, which is Stellar. I didn't want to go over an hour and a half, 2 hours, but end up happening anyway, and that's okay. All right. Let's check out some more comments. We have a few more people to join, like Salamander, the XTC commander. Good to see you, Salamander. And let's see here. Nomad, one day you will have to share a token layout showing your green, yellow, red. Maybe we're taking a chance on. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, you guys can see like some of the ones I got a sale on and some of the ones I overpaid on, right? Got wrecked on. I shared some of those. Ada got wrecked on that one. It's going to be obviously long-term hold. My Polygon originally. but I could always offset it by DCAing more. But I need to DCA more, especially into Polygon, but because it's part of QFS. But anyway. All right, let's see here. 2 of the biggest stablecoins are on Stellar, says Jack Thompson. Welcome, glad to have you. Salamander worked late. That's all right. All right, let's see. You're at the rink and you're freezing. Jeez, you didn't wear a coat? Should wear a nice parka or something. All right, Blackwood. Welcome, Blackwood, if I didn't welcome you earlier. If an XRP pump is 2024 in 2044 is $1 then zero excitement, I'll pay attention when past all-time highs. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that because, I mean, I would say, was it 370, 368, 350, $4? All significant, but I'm not going to be selling my XRP at those prices. But, I know some people will. I'm not. Zen808, welcome. He says, aloha, yes, to you and everybody. I think you're about 3 hours behind me, so it's only like 5 o'clock over there. That's crazy. All right, Jack Thompson, thanks. I'm going to bed. Long week. Max, thanks for your hard work and diligence. No problem, man. All right, let's see here. Let's read this from the Nomad. Not that long ago, about 20 minutes ago. GRT, as in the graph, is linked to ETH, and we know institutional money is in ETH. GRT has been around pushing their API capabilities and IPFS with data subgraph for Ethereum. I'm glad you point that out, Nomad, because here's the thing. Even though we criticize Ethereum, we also got to look at it from the point of view of the utility of the graph. So if the graph is the Google of crypto, that basically means that it's the largest indexer there is out there. You take, for instance, Ethereum. Yeah, it's slow dinosaur technology, but they're like the McDonald's of crypto. So they have more smart contracts than anything else out there. By taking GRT and indexing all that, I hate to say it, garbage, well, that's still utility in motion. And at the end of the day, I'm still interested in making money, and think we all are, right? So I'm glad you pointed that out. Jack Thompson, can you buy through Titan, the BSV crypto? I don't know about that. All right, let's go further down. I think maybe Tim Shea knows about that. And when I get more time, I do need to unpackage. I did get the Decent wallet and so on, and I'll hook you guys up with some of the info later on tonight. I also want to review it. I might not even like it. I don't know. I mean, this is a big upgrade for me because I want to go from Ledger, to Decent wallet. You know what I mean? I wanted something a little bit more easier. I agree with Will Fix. He was like, shoot, man, because he had Ledger too. He's like, it's just a lot easier. I've also heard other people say there's other ones out there. Maybe it is a Titan that I'm thinking of that is just a lot more like you guys like. There's certain ones you like even better than the Decent wallet, but I mean, I don't know. I honestly think I'm going to go with that because, yeah, it was really cool that I guess you could say it's kind of like a partial sponsorship affiliate program. Pretty cool. I don't want to just use their product because they sent it to me. I also like if it ends up being good, then yeah, I'm gonna start talking about it. So I don't want it to be a case of, hey, I'm gonna just use it and you need to click on my link. Now it needs to be something like, hey, you know what? This is clearly a better solution. So I want a chance to at least try it out and play around with it and so on. And that's to be expected, right? Right. All right, Nomad. Just wanted to drop by and let you know I wasn't a bot. Haha, I'll catch this live on my way to work in the morning. Oh, okay, cool. Pretty cool. Fish Grease, welcome back. He says, sup, bruh. I'm late. Well, welcome back, Fish Grease. Glad to have you here. Boom. SPL says UNHCR on Stellar Network. I think we have some about that, so we'll talk about that. Yvonne, no, you will make money, then it fizzle out. Lipple, it's air gap, looks good. Day Wallet, yes, sponsor. Yeah. All right, so let's see here. Well, the way I look at it, guys, is when it comes to you talk about the Decent wallet, it's just, I mean, from what Will's showing, it just looks a lot better. Period. See what you want. Ledger is kind of a pain, and the whole thing of creating a custom folder and all the hoops you got to jump through for XDC is a huge pain. He was saying that you don't have to worry about that with the Decent wallet. That in itself makes me want to just jump to it anyway. So we'll see what happens. All right, so that was the last comment. We're gonna jump into the last bit of coverage that we have. I was hoping to cover, get into it like half an hour ago, but that's okay. So I want to jump into that. Man, I closed too many tabs there for a second. Hold on a second. I gotta pull up the history one more time. Let's pull this up. All right. So why show this? Well, it's Stellar. So let's pull up the branding for Stellar. This is one of my favorite ones to pull up because it goes with my background. Yeah. And please, if you like the coverage or you like just research that you don't get necessarily on the live show or even in chopped up versions, you can definitely follow me over at Twitter. I do post exclusive research over there as well. It's not just me sharing other people's research. I do post my own. So give me a follow at DPG Maximus. Let's jump into the Stellar coverage that we have for you guys tonight. So for one, I am going to jump into it. And I want to introduce this particular person. You could be found on a simple Google search. Maybe wondering, like, who's this guy? Why point him out? He is David Mazaris. And what's so significant about him? Well, a few things. So for one, his education, just like some of the good guys and the bad guys, right? He comes from MIT. And you also have to keep in mind that he is a professor over at Stanford University. So that's pretty cool. I do like to point out educators in crypto. I myself am a former educator. I never got to do full-time, being a professor or anything like that, but I did get to sub as an instructor in the past and so on. So glad to be able to do that or have done that. But I want to share some key insights from him that was shared from the Stellar Development Foundation as of recently. And if anything, why point out some of this stuff? Well, I think it's worth pointing out. So for one, it's kind of cool. If you go to his biography or his site, it's scs.stanford.edu. It comes up with this Professor David Mazaris, if I'm pronouncing that right. He has a little bio and so on. But here it is. Very, very detailed. And I'm not going to get into so much about this and so on because if anything, you're more interested in Stellar. But just to give you a heads up, Professor of Computer Science at Stanford University, where he leads the Secure Computer Systems Research Group. Wow. He co-directs the Center of Blockchain Research, and he's the Future of Digital Currency Initiative. His research interests include operating systems, distributed systems, with a particular focus on security. Interesting. He's also, listen to this, the co-founder of the Stellar Development Foundation. Hence why they probably wanted to highlight him, right? Some of his projects in which he has done, he's collaborated on, includes SFS, which is a self-certifying network file system. Sunder, we covered this in the past, a long time ago. File system that introduced the notion of fork I can't even pronounce that. Zillability. That's not even the right way to pronounce it. And also Demlia, widely used peer-to-peer routing algorithm. So he knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two, right? As the saying goes. So I thought I'd point that out. Basically speaking, you got to keep in mind, all right, why point any of this out? Well, before I share this particular video in regards that was recently released from Stellar, you have to keep in mind that when it comes to this particular gentleman, and even Stellar for that matter, Stellar is not proof of stake. Were you aware of that? Stellar actually is what is referred to as a consensus protocol. We've seen other ones like the Hashgraph consensus, right, with Hedera. We know that when it comes to Stellar, they are a decentralized public blockchain that facilitates, of course, cross-border payments, tokenization. It is a form of DLT that allows users to do just that. Send, receive, and trade digital representations of almost basically any form of value, including, of course, cryptocurrencies, commodities, and even securities, which sounds nuts. Stellar, of course, is powered by the Stellar Consensus Protocol, the SCP. Sorry, that was a mouthful. It's a proof of agreement, POA consensus mechanism that was designed to be fast, efficient, and, of course, scalable. SCP is more energy efficient alternative to, of course, proof of work consensus mechanisms. And, of course, we know some of those particular ones. We obviously know that Stellar specializes in tokenization, cross-border payments, and, of course, decentralized finance. Now, jumping into what we have from YouTube. This was reported on the 28th, and it's David Mazzara's stake reputation, not cryptocurrency. I've gone ahead and fast forward to some of the key areas of this video to bring it to you guys. So I'm going to come out of the frame. Let's go ahead and play this. And it's just a few minutes, but man, listen to this for a second. Why would somebody that is a professor from Stanford go through all the trouble of mentioning it? So it's not just because he's part of Stellar Development Foundation. He makes a very valid point. Were you aware of some of these points? Let's get into this. If you appreciate the coverage, please smash the like. Here we go.
All right. So you basically end up in the situation where it's very tricky to tune the incentives properly in these consensus mechanisms, right? And if you get it wrong, then you can end up with a very costly double redemption attack, right? You could issue like millions of dollars of digital dollars, and then you could face, redemptions for like twice that much because like the blockchain forked, right? So you have the situation where if your token transactions are too valuable for the incentives, then your security is not going to be good enough. And if your token transactions are not valuable enough, then you're going to have kind of excessive fees, right? Because you kind of need to pay these fees to keep people interested in keeping the blockchain secure. And in a way, one way to view this is that part of the problem is that you're basically giving up on a lot of investments that we've made in society in things to kind of try to make the economy work well. So these are things like, reputation, like ownership rights, like the ability to enforce, pen and paper contracts in court, bank regulation stability, right? All that goes out the window when your financial infrastructure is run by a bunch of anonymous people and you don't know who they are, and the only thing keeping it secure are these incentives. So to make this a bit more concrete, let's look at some numbers. There's this great website, crypto51.app, that shows you how much it costs to attack a proof of work blockchain. And you can see it would cost like 1.3 or $5 million an hour to attack Bitcoin, right? So that sounds like a lot, but maybe if you're going to issue like billions of dollars of stable coin on this thing and like have billions of dollars of volume a day, this actually isn't enough to keep things secure, right? And then as soon as you drop off from Bitcoin, everything else is just like tiny, right? Like tens of thousands of dollars of incentives keeping these blockchains secure. So this should be very scary if you're thinking about issuing a real world asset onto one of these proof of work blockchains. Okay, but maybe proof of work is passé. We're all about proof of stake in 2023. So let's look at some, selection of popular proof of stake blockchains. And here I had to pull data from multiple sources. And unfortunately, realtps.net is down to the first column, the average TPS. Those numbers might be slightly out of date, but this is for kind of order of magnitude to see. And what you can see from this, the first thing that should jump out of this chart is that, an Ethereum, they're collecting like almost $1 billion of transaction fees a year for not that many transactions per second, right? So you're talking about, on average, people are going to pay several dollars per transaction. It goes up and down. Sometimes it's much more. And so that means that kind of like layer one transactions on Ethereum are just way too expensive for many, many applications that you could think of. So if you look at the other extreme, Algorand is a blockchain, really high quality blockchain, like very nice proof of work, proof of stake algorithm, right? And it also has like, sort of high quality tooling. People like to develop for it. And low fees right now. But unfortunately, Algorand has about $211 million staked on it. And you can start seriously messing with a proof of stake blockchain when you have like more than a third of the stake. So like around, if you had $100 million of algo, you could start seriously messing with transactions on there. And of course, you could potentially lever up and get $100 million of algo by like, putting maybe 10% down and like borrowing the rest. So for basically $10 million, you can start to mess with people. And so that should make you really scared about issuing, say, like $1 billion stable coin on top of Algorand, right? And there's other things that make this worse, like liquid staking might give you a way to like get get other people to kind of lend their stake to you, and things like shorting and derivatives would allow you to maybe like profit if you tank the value of Algorand because you're attacking the system and so on. So all that should be kind of scary. So, so there's something else that's kind of troubling here, which is look at the difference between the fees that are being collected on a yearly basis and the incentives that are being paid out to validators, right? So that's anywhere from like 2x for Ethereum to 100x or more for some of these chains. That gap basically represents the fact that cryptocurrency speculators are subsidizing the network, right? Many times over compared to the fees that are being collected. So again, that's not going to be sustainable in the long run, right? So of course, if you look at Stellar, my blockchain, things look different, right? Because you're not staking anything other than your reputation. We don't pay out any incentives to the validators, and not coincidentally, it has the lowest fees of pretty much any public blockchain out there, often by many orders of magnitude.
All right. So the point was the difference, clear cut differences when it comes to Stellar and the other ones are out there. He even gave praise in regards to Algorand and so on, right? I want to show you some recent news that is from Stellar to kind of just tie everything in together before we wrap things up. And basically, let's take you to there. This is from actually Stellar, right? So for one, let's pull this up. And like it says, right from Stellar.org, what's it say? It says that they just dropped a practical framework for decentralization. Dive into the shift, redefine trust in blockchain with SDF's Leslie Shavkin. Now, this was reported earlier today, and I will take you over to this. And basically, here it is. And it's a big piece, but the point is, they talk about this whole thing of like framework, and we all know that we have to have the proper framework to get to regulatory framework where you get that clarity, as the saying goes. But this whole thing of like a practical framework for decentralization is actually something that they wrote up, if you will. It's a policy, like it says, team at the Stellar Development Foundation to set out and address that question. I apologize. It says a decentralized system rules govern, or I should say, the rules govern how various components work together to achieve a common goal. Yes, true. These components, whether they are computers, blockchain networks, community members, so on and so forth, you have to have a structure, a governance structure for all this. And it has to work independently, but collectively with the need for a central authority, whether people want to agree that and so on. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like what Martin Hargreaves pointed out in regards to quants. If you watch that particular coverage, he's talking about, we want our elected officials to do the right thing and embrace the right types of things and so on, do their jobs. I mean, I understand there's a balance of, big government and small government and so on. I'll try to get into political discussion, but you have to keep in mind, like it says, this concept is already woven into our lives. The internet operates as a decentralized communications network. True, ensuring resilience and continuity. At the end of the day, I mean, like Gilbert Verdian was talking about, we don't want any more cases of siloed gardens of like Web 1. Your CompuServes can't talk to your AOLs and your all the other old school ones if you're around during that time. Decentralized systems, on the other hand, offer a operational resilience, eliminating the risk of a single point of failure, reducing vulnerabilities to attacks. Very, very true. Decentralization, therefore, challenges the traditional approach to regulation. And this is where we're starting to see things finally come together. You see a focus on oversight of centralized actors and intermediaries, and it, of course, forces us to rethink how we can safeguard consumers, uphold market integrity, mitigate systemic risk. Now, regards to this whole thing about policymakers, regulators globally are grappling what decentralization means and how to measure it. They have this whole thing of a realistic approach, and I do like this terminology, of how to emphasize the need for a flexible framework that can accommodate the quickly evolving blockchain industry. The framework evaluates a network structure, ability to resist failures, and approach a decision-making and power distribution. So what is this exactly all about? Well, there's a lot. But you like the idea that there's new news posted about this. And in essence, like it says, and we're not going to read the full paper, that decentralization is not a mere technological trend, but it's a paradigm shift that touches upon resilience, data integrity, and trust. This course paper that we're not going to get into because it's just too long, you can nerd it out if you want to, is a meaningful, practical framework to evaluate and understand decentralization and a step towards embracing this transformation and harnessing its potential. And of course, you're welcome to nerd it out, but my thing is this. I look at these things as being a reference for the actual policymakers, so they have a reference that they can go to and educate themselves. At the end of the day, if we want these policymakers on board, they have to have something to reference. This is one of the references. Now, jumping into some of the cool things I want to get into in regards to some of the more of the nitty gritty, if you will. I want you guys to keep in mind that there's I should say more than meets the eye, but in regards to all this, I think it's a big deal to point out some specific things. Okay, so for one, I did see over on the Stellar Development Foundation, you have this, and I should say Stellar Development Foundation. It comes straight from Stellar, and then of course straight from Sorbonne Official. Now, we have reported numerous times about the whole big thing of Sorbonne, but this is today. And like it says, last call for this round of Stellar Community Fund. If you're building something cool on Stellar, be sure to get your submission done by December 3rd. Go, go, go. Now, we're not devs. We know we're not devs. And if anything, there might be some people who are like, man, why even share this, Max? It's a nothing burger. It's not a nothing burger. The reason why you want to share this to the public and get the news out and so on is because this whole notion of Sorbonne. Sorbonne's going to go live. When will it go live? Everybody's been asking that. It's going to be at the end of the year and so on. Is there anything specific? Not really. But this hints that there's deadlines coming up. And when you see that these devs got to come up with a submission by December 3rd, which is, let's face it, guys, 3 days after tomorrow, that is worth pointing out. Now, why so? Well, taking you over to, for instance, what we have, it goes into this thing called Community Fund in regards to Stellar. Turn ideas into impact. It says request awards up to $100,000 worth of XLM. I don't know about you, but man, I would, that sounds good to me. But yeah, turn 100K worth of XLM for building impactful projects on Sorbonne and Stellar. Ooh. Strengthen the ecosystems, infrastructure, and tooling. Lead the next way of DeFi applications. When it comes to dApps, I think Sorbonne is really going to be the key thing to get done because this is the premier smart contract platform built on Stellar. And like it says, build solutions to those who need it the most. At the end of the day, what kind of applications are they building? Is it real world applications that are going to make a difference? Or is it just a bunch of nonsense? No, I think it's real world applications that are going to make a difference. What are some of the examples we've seen? Well, not necessarily Sorbonne, but we've seen other examples of applications built on Stellar. Like, for instance, we saw the whole thing of, which was a big deal, Wisdom Tree. That app, being able to, pay bills and do all sorts of other things. And the connection to Stellar, I think, is still a very big deal. We gave you other examples not that long ago, and there's going to be continuously be more and more examples. So it says submit your project, right? If you're a dev and so on. It's got all this info about it. But my key thing for you guys is, the price of Stellar as we speak. I mean, when I get more into this, I do look at, for instance, let me just pull up this page again real quick. Are you even aware, even though the market is up, that we have, 1.44 trillion overall crypto market cap, right? It's an increase. And if anything, it might go even higher. But where is Stellar? Well, Stellar is sitting at 24th. And let's just be honest, still a bargain. My last bag, I came in at like 7 or 8 cents. I'm not in the profits because when I originally got into Stellar, I got into it, I think, late 2021, early 2022. It was officially my first of the ISO coins. I didn't even know what ISO was at that point, right? Had to learn, just like you, me, and everybody else. But my point is that I'll eventually be into the profits. And I also recognize Stellar as still an absolute buy because Sorbonne's coming up. and we should see some price shock. I could be wrong. I'm leaning towards if you have 100 plus, projects that are going to be built, as the saying goes, flip of the switch, if you will, going live in regards to that switch sometime at the end of the month before the new year. That's worth pointing out. This price of right under 12 cents. I mean, come on. All they need is like a handful, if that, of some premier standout quality projects. Not to say that not all of them aren't going to be, but built on, Stellar from Sorbonne. That's going to be game changer. And I thought I would point that out at least to you guys, and basically glad to, do that. In conclusion, that concludes our, why does it show this weird right here? Yeah, it concludes our coverage in regards to Stellar. That's so weird. I clicked on that thing and it just showed like this live feed and it covered my whole head. Anyway, glad that's fixed. I'm going to now take out the branding for Stellar, and I'm going to kick it into the last bit of comments. Didn't really want to do 2.5 hours, but it ended up happening. That's okay. I guess it gives me more material to chop up. David Streets, what's up? Love the shows. I'm glad you did videos on BSV. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't get to cover BSV tonight, but we'll look to cover some more BSV. Hope people wake up. I'm not a Stellar fan, but I do buy XRP, XDC, and BSV. Awesome. Well, welcome, David Streets, and hope to see more of you. Consider changing your avatar to something that speaks more about who you are and what you're all about. All right, let's see here. I think that's about it. Elon Musk says that Elon Musk says that SpaceX will begin launching satellite Doge 1 this year. Oh my gosh! So I'm glad I got back into it a while back, and still hold a lot. I have a weird role. It's like originally got into it at a penny. Took profits at roughly 70 cents. Turned like $300 investment to $22K. You guys know the history. And then from there, decided later on, I was like, you know what, at 5 cents and so on, might as well get back into it, and I did. So it's another long-term hold for me, and we'll see what happens. But that's very bullish. That's awesome. Stellar is stellar. Yes. Like that movie, Stella got her groove back. Stellar got her groove back. I don't know. Danelle Dixon got her groove back. I don't know. It doesn't make sense anyway. All right, Corey Bebe. Thanks, Max. Good night, all. Scam. Yeah, good one. Have a good night, Corey and River. I swear I've seen something about Casper and Starlink. Huh. Well, if you find something, we can share it some other day. Before we conclude the show, I just want to state this. Eventually we'll get back to a normal schedule and so on. It ain't going to happen anytime soon. Every day I'm on standby in regards to the whole thing with my dad. He could very well pass away within 3 days, maybe under, but they're looking at anywhere from like 3 to 4 days to like a couple weeks. Also, like a miracle happens and so on. So all I gotta say is, you got a dad and you love him. Make sure you make sure you tell him that, and any loved ones you have and so on. For me personally, I'm taking this harder than any other point in my life. I took it pretty hard when I lost my mom for, was it April 14th, right? Of 2019. So about not quite 5 years, but approaching that. It was hard to take that because my mom was my best friend. I want to state this. This is different. In some ways, I take this a little bit harder, and I came to the conclusion it's because I don't have any immediate family. It's just something about that feeling of losing your immediate family, and there's no more. So in the future, I hope to be able to recreate, create an immediate family at some point. There's got to be somebody out there for old Max, right? Anyway, hug your loved ones. You guys have a great night. And let me read this from Corey Bebe. Max, do you think Doge and SHIB will be all-time highs in the bull run? Yes. I think SHIB will go to 0.30s and a 1. Don't let these content creators tell you that it's going to go to penny. I think that's just, maybe like, I don't know, 20 years from now or something, possibly. I don't know. But I think it's going to go to at least 0.30s and a 1. Shout out to Legrand Commission. He feels like it could be 2 zeros. Hey, that'd be awesome. But I will be taking my profits this next time around again, and especially if it goes to 0.3 zeros. If it goes to 0.3 zeros and a 2, for absolute sure, I think I'll be done with it. Yeah, and then if I get back into it later and make an investment, sure, of course. Doge, yes, and this news about that Starlink thing. That's, you never know. I mean, I still feel as though Doge, there's no way it's going to be used for cross-border payments. I could be wrong, but I just don't see that. I do think, and this again, I've been consistent about it, I think it's going to be used for a reward token. That makes sense to me. All right. Anyway, just my own opinion. We can agree to disagree. You all have a great night, and thank you for your understanding. Possibly I won't be here tomorrow. The shows are supposed to be Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and so on. Sometimes I come on Saturdays and so on. But thanks for the support, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.